Welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Friday, and I promised we would talk about kidneys today. So that's what we're going to do. As we go through some of the information today, remember we just talked about heart disease yesterday and how strongly linked heart disease and kidneys are related and how they're both related to insulin resistance. So I want to go over insulin resistance really briefly for everybody who hasn't listened to me before so we can start to understand how all of this fits together. And then we're going to get into kidney disease and the recommendations that we've been given for kidney disease and why we may need to take a look at more modern recommendations and what's really happening with the kidneys if we really want people to start feeling better. So if it's you, if it's somebody you know, hang out. I'm going to give you a success story. We're going to talk about a number of things to do with kidneys that are I'm not a doctor, I'm not a clinical anybody. I'm a real person who's done some real research. Please understand that the recommendations that we've been given about kidney disease may be harming you more than they're doing good. And so I want to go over that. And then at the end, I'm going to talk about a protocol that's helping with insulin resistance as a tool of helping insulin resistance. Once we link all this together, you'll understand how it's possible to start seeing improvements with some of these other diseases. Today, it's kidney disease. Now, not every kidney disease is linked to insulin resistance, but a number of them are. So when we look at the body, diabetes, this is from Dr. Robert Lustig, who wrote Metabolical. Diabetes is insulin resistance in your liver. Okay. Hypertension is insulin resistance in your heart. Alzheimer's is insulin resistance in your brain. And your kidneys failing is insulin resistance in your kidneys. Now, there is a small amount of kidney diseases that are not linked to insulin resistance. So if that's not your case, then this is going to be different. But if it is, hang out because we're going to go over all of it right now. But insulin resistance simply is a storage problem. It's an energy storage problem. And what's causing it is that we're being told to eat too often, and we're being given highly processed foods, bagged, boxed, barcoded foods, and even our raw organic foods have been modified and changed so that we're not getting the nutrients like we need, but we're getting an excess amount of glucose into the system. Glucose is just energy in your system. Insulin is a delivery system for that glucose. And when everything starts to go wrong, insulin is not getting the glucose into the cells like it should. That's insulin resistance. So let's go over some of the things with your kidneys and why this is happening. Let's go back to like the 1930s because the recommendations that we're getting today are still based on work from Dr. Walter Kepner from back in the 1930s. At the same time, or in that same time period, was this new recommendation that fats were causing problems. Now, Dr. Kepner had done work on hypertension and kidneys. And so, along with this whole idea that fats were bad for us, they started switching to carbohydrates. Now, what are the recommendations if you have kidney disease or if you have kidneys that are failing? They're a high carbohydrate diet. They're eating small meals all day long, and they're a low protein diet. Okay. As we go through this today, you might start to see why that's exactly the wrong thing to do. Maybe not as apparent as it is, but it is to me. So for decades, we've been told that protecting kidney function means lowering protein and increasing your carbohydrates. But what I want to tell you is that advice from the 1930s came about before we understood insulin resistance and the new science of understanding how metabolically damaging throughout our body insulin resistance can be and how highly linked all of this is to insulin resistance. So those old recommendations of high carbohydrates, they didn't understand that that's actually causing the root cause of these things like kidney problems, insulin resistance. When we have that much carbohydrate and we're eating too often, we're making more of the thing that's dampening the kidneys from being able to work. Your kidneys are a filtration system, and one of the chemicals that they produce is called aldosterone, and that helps you tell how much water to hold on to by how much salt it's going to get rid of. and that all gets dysfunctional when we have insulin resistance going on, and it doesn't allow the kidneys to produce aldosterone in the amounts it's supposed to. That's part of the problem, but that's not the whole problem. So how we treat kidney disease today is the same as we've treated it in the 1930s, even though there's all this new science that says, whoa, wait a minute, carbohydrates are actually the root of the problem. Um, Kidney patients are still being told to eat a high carbohydrate diet and eat often, and that's exactly the problem. Hey, Mary. So let's go over it. That high carbohydrate, low protein diet. Why? Part of it is because when your kidneys are malfunctioning, when they're at risk, high amounts of protein put a bigger load on your kidneys. They have to filter out the waste products of urea, of that protein, and it just makes them work harder. And they've been afraid that that's going to cause more damage to your kidneys. So we can see that, right? So, what if we start to slow down the carbohydrates, let the kidneys heal, and then you can start to take in more protein over time? Now, I'm not suggesting anybody go against their doctor. I'm saying work with them, bring them some information, and find out what's real for you and what could work for you. Okay. So, that idea that protein creates waste products like urea, and then they have to filter that out, is why they said, okay, well, somebody still needs nutrients. You still need nutrients. You're not getting it from protein anymore. So, we're going to up their carbohydrate intake to help them get the nutrients in they need, and then again, that's just stacking the odds against you even more. It's making everything so much more worse. One of the other problems with insulin resistance is you have chronic kidney disease. You thought so too, right? It's the exact wrong way to approach it. What we really need to do is approach how much sugar is getting into our system, get the hormone of insulin under control so the kidneys are getting the energy they need and they're not having to overwork, so that they can actually start to heal and you can start to get protein in. Your doctor doesn't want you to eat any meat, and that's a shame. You guys, it's so where I was going with this is when you have insulin resistance, you're less likely to hold on to muscle because your muscle tissue is not getting the nutrients it needs either. And then we're not eating protein. And so now you're losing even more muscle. And guess what your kidneys are made out of? Muscle tissue. They're muscle tissue. So you need some protein in your diet in order to just keep the kidneys regenerating and healthy. You need to get the sugar down so that your kidneys aren't having to strain and be not getting the energy they need in. And it's just a vicious cycle, a problem that really isn't being addressed. And every person that I talk to, especially recently, and maybe it's just in my head because I listened to Dr. Casey Means the other day, and she was talking about how doctors are compartmentalized. They're not looking at a big picture and making it be like, oh, there's a root cause here. They're taking the kidneys as a separate thing from the heart, as a separate thing from the liver, as a separate thing from the brain. And yet if we're having problems with all of those, it's probably insulin resistance. Okay. And JJ, thank you so much for supporting this live. I really, really, really appreciate that, because it's important to get this information out. So not that I want to tell you what to do. I want to give you information so you can make decisions for your own health based on what you feel is right for you. If you think I'm full of bunk, that's fine. You go do whatever. But I want to give you some information because not everybody's going to sit down and spend the hours I just spent looking all this stuff up. Okay. It's a hard world out there and we got so much going on. Okay. So we might understand now that this high carbohydrate, low protein diet is actually making the kidneys worse. You're not building muscle, so you're not getting protein in now, and it's making insulin resistance worse. So not only are you not getting the building blocks for your kidneys or the rest of your muscles, you're with insulin resistance, you're losing more muscle, and muscle tissue, your skeletal muscle tissue, especially from the waist down your legs, are some of the most highly and the most high energy users in your body, helping you to utilize that energy that's coming in so that you can stay more insulin sensitive. When you reduce the amount of muscle you have on your body because you're already insulin sensitive, you become more and more insulin resistant. You have more and more problems with this whole thing. It's a negative feedback loop. Always with insulin resistance, there's this huge negative feedback loop. Okay, so most people don't realize it, but insulin resistance is one of the biggest risk factors for kidney damage. And this is why. So when your blood sugars spike, it damages kidney blood vessels. Okay. So when insulin resistance develops, blood sugar stays higher for longer. Yesterday, I talked about how it's damaging the interior wall of your blood vessels. It's causing your blood pressure to go up. It's causing your blood vessels not to expand like they should. It's causing all of this damage in your blood vessels. So now you guys start thinking outside of the box. I'm talking about kidneys, but think about things like gout and erectile dysfunction and a number of other issues that fall into this as well. We're on kidneys, but you guys start thinking outside the box for me as we get all this information and start putting pieces together. But when that blood sugar stays high, it's causing your blood vessels to restrict and stiffen up. And over time, that's going to damage your tiny blood vessels, the tiny blood vessels in the kidneys, and that is reducing their ability to filter waste. Did it come from high amounts of protein or high amounts of fat that those tiny, tiny blood vessels got damaged and restricted and started dying off? No, it was from the high amounts of sugars. And a lot of veggies is great, but Dr. Naka, what if you could start having protein again? What if your kidneys could start functioning again and you didn't have to live on this low protein diet that's really not healthy for a human being? Okay. So high insulin also leads to, I mentioned this, hot water retention and high blood pressure. Kidneys are very highly linked to your heart. So when you have this blood vessel restriction going on and that aldosterone that the kidneys are not producing in the right amounts, you're holding on to salt. Your kidneys can't filter it out. They don't understand what is too much salt and when to hold on to it, when to get rid of it. So you're holding on to too much salt because you don't have the right amounts of aldosterone from your kidneys. And now you're starting to have inflammation and edema and swelling throughout the body. It's part of why with kidneys and heart, they're saying to lower your salt intake because your kidneys are not able to filter them out when you have insulin resistance going alongside of all this. Okay. Again, it's about the sugar, not about the salt. So high blood pressure is one of the biggest drivers of kidney disease. As I explained yesterday, and if you missed that talk, it's on YouTube at Brilliant Health with Misha. Go back and listen to it. I gave you 5 ways that insulin resistance is causing all of this. Those same 5 ways that are causing the heart to malfunction, that's causing all this blood vessel restriction and cholesterol and stuff, it's affecting your kidneys too. Okay. The biggest part is infiltration. Now you don't have the blood vessels that are allowing your kidneys to do the job, and now you're having improper amounts of aldosterone and you're retaining too much salt and water, and the kidneys are working harder than ever. And all of those things lead back to sugar, not protein. Again, I want to be careful and say I'm not telling you if you have stage 3 kidney disease to go start pumping up protein. It's a little different for you guys. If it was me, I would get rid of the sugar and then slowly start to reintroduce protein into my diet so I can eventually get balanced. It's not going to be, those of you with kidney disease, no, this is not going to be an overnight sensation, change everything around and get healthy, but it can be done. It can be done. And I have a guy who's done it. I have a guy who had stage 3 kidney disease who was he was signing up for all the surgeries to have done on his kidneys so that he would go on dialysis because his kidneys had been damaged so bad. He started using the protocol I'm going to talk about, implementing some of the things I'm talking about, and he reversed that, is no longer stage 3 kidney disease, no longer is even looking at dialysis, and is healthy across the board now. And he's lost some weight, changed his skin, all of that up. And you guys understand it's sugar causing this. High blood pressure is what got you. Yeah. So again, high blood pressure is just insulin resistance in the heart. Kidney disease is just insulin resistance in the kidney for the most of us. All right. But when they're together, now we know, especially if you've got blood pressure and kidney problems, man, why is nobody okay? So you had Dr. Naka and anybody else who's listening. You have hypertension, you have kidney problems. Has your doctor ever told you you have an insulin problem? Have they ever said, we need to get your insulin under control? That's going to help both of these things heal up. I would have to bet they didn't. And that is such a shame because that one thing, insulin resistance, could help both of those other things start to get better. So the other thing is it's causing inflammation. Insulin resistance causes cellular damage and it's causing inflammation not only in your gut and a change in your gut microbiome, which then links into the rest of your body, but cellularly, it's causing oxidative stress and inflammation within the cells. And that then starts to affect your kidneys. Now, not only are they not filtering properly because of blood vessels not being proper and not being able to produce aldosterone right, now they're inflamed and struggling even more. And it all went back to sugar and insulin resistance. Okay. So now, while reducing protein may help manage one part of the problem, helping your kidneys to not have to work so hard, following a high carbohydrate diet, think about it. Following a high carbohydrate diet may actually be making things worse, especially when you're being told to eat every 2 hours. And we'll go over why that's so important in just a minute. But when you're eating constantly, you're keeping your insulin levels high, and that's a problem. Too much insulin is your problem, and what's causing too much insulin is too much blood sugar delivered too quickly to your body too often. And yeah, Dr. Naka said nobody ever talked to him about insulin resistance, and he had two of the key components or the key symptoms: kidney disease and hypertension. All right, so now I want to talk about another doctor. So it's kind of controversial for some people, but his name is Dr. Jason Fung. He does a lot of work on fasting and metabolism now, and why? Because he started out as a nephrologist, and a nephrologist is a doctor of your kidneys. Okay. So he was working as a nephrologist, a kidney doctor, and he started realizing that all of his patients had this metabolic problem. They had an insulin problem. He started looking into it. He started going, well, why am I just giving these old recommendations? Why am I giving these pills? Why am I doing all of this stuff when the old recommendations are making the problem worse? Why aren't we changing that around? And why are we telling kidney patients to eat so much when that's actually making their kidneys worse? So he started studying fasting a lot. So here's the big thing. You guys, fasting is actually really good for your kidneys because it's addressing insulin resistance. And that's not what you're being told by most physicians. Again, please double check me on this. Please work with your physician. I am not in charge of your health. I'm giving you information so that you guys can start to figure it out for yourselves. Okay. So Dr. Jason Fung, the nephrologist, most of his kidney patients had insulin resistance, even if they weren't diabetic. And that's what started making him think about it. Because we all think, oh, diabetes. But what's happening when you're caught between this nowhere land of I have all of these symptoms, but I'm not diabetic, and people aren't linking them up and saying insulin resistance? Dr. Fung started doing that. He started saying, wow, the commonality is insulin resistance. Okay. So he noticed that frequent eating and high carbohydrate diets, and this is coming from a kidney doctor, were actually worsening kidney function. So, what your doctor is telling you to do, he found is actually the wrong thing to do for your kidneys. And hear me out with this, because this is not my knowledge. This is coming from a doctor who specialized in it. Instead of focusing on restricting protein, he started helping patients regulate insulin levels. And then he didn't have to focus on restricting protein. So, what did he actually do differently instead of a high carb diet? He used three key strategies. He lowered the carbohydrates to prevent constant blood sugar spikes. Okay. He Good. Dr. Naka says he fasts a lot. He also used an alternative energy source, and we're going to dive into that in just a minute. Fats. It doesn't burden the kidneys. It doesn't spike your insulin. If you're already fasting and you're already trying to get your carbohydrates down, one of the big things that people are missing because of the old recommendation that fats were bad for us is you're missing out on healthy fats. I'm not talking about seed oils. I'm not talking about oils that you find in lightly colored bottles or margarines or any of that stuff. Butter, ghee, avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil in the dark green bottles, and your avocado oil should be as well. Coconut oil, the fats on your meat, the yolks in your eggs, those are the fats that are going to do you good. They're going to keep you satiated. They're not going to have an insulin response. That lessened insulin response is allowing your kidneys to heal, and then you're still getting energy to your body and your brain through those fats, because the other source of energy that we need and we don't utilize enough is those healthy fats that I talked about. Okay. What he found when he made these three key changes was nothing short of a miracle to me. He's found that many patients improved their kidney function, stabilized their blood sugar, and in some cases, they even reversed damage that was previously thought to be permanent in their kidneys. There's not much that the body can't heal if we give it the right environment to heal in. And we have to understand that what's causing most of this is our food. Our food is what's making us sick. Okay. So we know now that maybe the recommendations we've been being given are exactly the wrong thing to do, right? One of the biggest concerns with kidney disease is muscle loss. I talked about that just a minute ago. So this is where fats also come into play. Most kidney patients are told to cut protein. We already know that. But that often leads to muscle wasting. Now, fats give you a stable energy source that doesn't spike insulin or create waste byproducts like protein can, meaning you're staying fuller longer, you're less likely to snack on the sugars that are causing the problem in the first place, and it's not hard on your kidneys. Proteins, high sugar when your kidneys are damaged, and high proteins when your kidneys are damaged can be hard on them. Fats are not, but they will help you get energy to your body, and that helps you get the insulin levels down. They will help you stay satiated so you're not overeating and snacking on all the wrong things. Okay. So fats also provide that stable energy, like I just said, that doesn't spike insulin or create waste byproducts like the excess protein can. And they also help improve insulin sensitivity by making the protein you are able to eat do more and be more effective for muscle building and repair. We need it. Remember, we need the building blocks for our muscle tissue. And I want you guys to stop, because most of us, and I'm going to say this because I know I was in that camp too. We think muscle, we think skeletal muscle, we think biceps, we think quadriceps, we think glutes, we think all of that, but we don't think about heart, we don't think about liver, we don't think about kidneys, we don't think about lungs, we don't think about our intestines. Those are all muscle tissue. If you're not building muscle tissue, it's not just the skeletal muscle you're losing, it's all of this organ tissue as well. Okay. So healthy fats, again, avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, fatty fish, butter, ghee. Some nuts can provide more lasting energy and not spike your insulin and allow those kidneys to start healing. Okay, that allows for more moderate protein intake. If you can start to get a little bit more protein in while still preserving muscle and supporting your kidney function as you're healing. So instead of relying on this outdated information and low and high carb, low protein, you should be doing a lower carb, higher fat, which could actually improve your kidney support while reducing insulin resistance. Okay, so again, I want to highlight my buddy, Coach Hoyt, who had stage 3 kidney disease, was on track for dialysis, was actually being scheduled for the surgeries necessary before being put on dialysis. The doctors were telling him there was nothing he could do. He found the protocol I'm going to talk about in just a minute. He was like, give me 3 months, doc. He did the protocol for 3 months, got his insulin resistance trending in the right way. Kidney started healing. Today, He's not on dialysis. His kidneys are healing. He's no longer stage 3. And it all was just, he didn't even understand this, right? He just knew that there was a protocol that said that he could heal from insulin resistance and some of the other things and not be on medications, and he gave it a shot. He didn't understand, and I don't know if today he even understands all of this stuff. He just knows that he got better, but these are the reasons why he got better. So if you have kidney problems, let's talk about it. Instead of focusing solely on your protein intake, pay attention to insulin resistance, start getting in more healthy fats, reduce your blood sugars by reducing the carbohydrates you're eating. Okay. That's going to help you prevent blood sugar spikes and high insulin. Now, carbohydrates, if it's not a fat and it's not a protein, it is a carbohydrate. Most of you guys have heard about high glycemic or low glycemic carbohydrates. The difference is low glycemic carbohydrates don't spike your insulin as quickly. High glycemic carbohydrates do by spiking your blood sugar too quickly. So high glycemic carbohydrates are going to be the candy bars, the chips, the cakes, breads, pasta, rice, potatoes. They're going to cause a blood sugar spike. And like I talked about yesterday, it's going to send your body into a crisis mode, and your insulin levels are going to go up really high. And then you're being told to do that every 2 hours. Stop doing that. Okay. Focus on fats, healthier forms of carbohydrates. Like Dr. Naka says, he eats a lot of veggies, much better. But why? So the difference between high glycemic and low glycemic also, why is it spiking your blood sugar so much? Because there's less fiber. Why do you have a couple of different types of fruits, and one spikes your blood sugar higher than the other, like berries or pears don't spike your blood sugar very high? But other things like bananas will spike it higher, quicker, because of the fiber content in the fruit. Fiber is nature's way of slowing down a sugar spike. Okay. And in our innate intelligence, or our ever ending intelligence as human beings, we've stripped it out. We've stripped it out. The food industry has stripped it out because you want sweeter, bigger, juicier food, and they can't leave fiber in because it makes it dense and small and crunchy. And that's not what everybody says they want. So they've said, okay, well, we're going to change the seeds. We're going to change the foods we grow. We're going to change the processes of how we grow so we can grow more food. We can feed more to people. They're going to stay hungrier. They're going to want to eat more, and their blood sugar spiking, and they're sick. And then, you know what? Then you go to big pharma and you get all kinds of medications. But our food is the core, and fiber is one of the keys that's causing you to stay sick because you're not able to regulate blood sugars, and I'll go over that in a second. So again, I'm not giving anybody medical advice. I'm giving you some information that you can then take it out and say, this makes sense, or this doesn't make sense, or I need to talk to my doctor. Why is this happening? And why are they, ask them. Have they read recent research? Are they still going by that recommendation from the 1930s? Do they know anything about nutrition? And why have they never talked to you about insulin resistance? On TikTok, there's a couple of tabs, and one of them says how to tell. There's some calculations in there that will help you tell if you're insulin resistant. Please go check those out. Okay. So science is evolving, and it's changing all of those recommendations. Those recommendations are almost 100 years old, and that's still what your doctors are telling you, even though science has changed its view on why this is happening. Okay, so we need to understand why, and we need to start addressing the real root cause. All right, high carbohydrate, low protein diets are actually causing your kidneys more problem. So the protocol I talk about now, and I'm gonna talk to you if you have kidney disease and you're already struggling with your kidneys. Hear me out. I'm going to talk to you about the protocol. Then I'm going to tell you how I would do it if I was suffering from kidney disease. Okay, is that fair? So it's a tea that you have every morning. You have twice a day, and a pre-meal drink that you have before your biggest meal with carbohydrates. Now, knowing that carbohydrates are causing the problem with your kidneys, but knowing that you're being told to eat a lot, one of the changes I would do is I would have 2 of the pre-meal drink and the fiber a day minimum, or every time I eat, to help those blood sugar spikes go down and help you absorb not only the sugar slower, but more of the nutrients that are in them, that's what I would do. I would increase that pre-meal drink intake to 2 to 3 a day, depending on your eating schedule. I would stop eating 6 times a day. That's causing the problem. And if anybody needs to know why, I will go over that in a second. Okay. So it's a tea. Now, this is I actually mixed up 3 teas and divided it between 2 bottles. So this is my second one. And that's the cool thing with these is it's real food products that are supporting your body and giving you back the pieces that got stripped away that are causing you to be sick in the first place so that your body can heal. It's not a medication that's like you can only take once a day, and if you're not feeling better, you just got to suffer through till tomorrow. I have had 5 to 6 of these tea in a day, no adverse effects, and it's very high in vitamins and minerals and a number of other components that are both good for the kidneys and good for the heart. Now, here's the truth though. With kidney disease, I would slow down on the tea in the beginning because some of the components in the tea that are really healthy for you are also causing the kidneys to filter more. So, if it was me, I would start with 1 tea a day. And as I got healthier, add the second tea in because again, we don't want to overwork the kidneys. But the great thing is it's the tea is allowing the kidneys to start functioning better through a number of actions, and most of them through the sugar regulation, the insulin sensitivity, and they're helping your kidneys filter. So more of the waste that you're holding on to with kidney disease is getting out of you. But again, I would do 1 a day until, and I would just sip on it throughout the day until the kidneys started getting better. And I would focus more on the pre-meal drink that's slowing down the sugar spikes that caused the problem in the first place. So when insulin resistance develops, the blood sugar stays higher for longer, and over time, that's damaging your kidneys and the blood vessels. We talked about that a little bit, and that reduces their ability to filter waste. By the way, you guys, I get so involved in the education. The protocol, I will put it in over here on the other channels, but um, in TikTok, you're just going to go to my bio. You're going to go to my picture, tap on it. When the white box comes up, tap on that, and it will right under the red light siren symbols on TikTok, under my profile, you'll find the link. And if you can't find it, just message me and I will get you the information. If you can't find it on TikTok, just go to my YouTube channel and the link is right at the top of my YouTube channel. Okay. So, you guys, please, please, please try it. I'm going to tell you that, I mean, I'm not going to be shy about this part. Just try it. It has a 90-day money-back guarantee. It has a quality guarantee. It's listed in the prescriber's digital reference. It has studies by Cleveland Clinic, one of the top heart health hospitals in the world, the makers of the glycemic index in the University of Sydney, at UNLV, at a number of hospitals and clinics throughout the world. There are studies, including the American Diabetes Association, the American Heart Association. It's real. It's not just some hyped up stuff that that people are trying to tell you, oh, yerba mate is the great thing right now, so we're going to do that. This is a yerba mate tea, but it's very highly concentrated. And guess what? When we're talking about kidneys, the other thing that I love about these products from this company is that they're highly purified. So when you're taking in foods that are high in toxins and pesticides, and by the way, a lot of the veggies you get are high in those things, that's causing more filtration problems for your kidneys. So one of the big things for me with kidneys with this product is that it's highly purified. So toxins, microplastics, molds, pesticides, PAHs are all removed. So now you have something that's giving you nutritional support, that's giving your body what it needs to heal and do what it needs to do without all the toxic crap that is attached in most other products. Okay. So that's going to help your kidneys even more when you're not taking in this excess of toxicity. So you just find it in my profile, and then you get that 90-day money back guarantee. So it's not going to interfere with any protocol that you're on for your kidneys now. It's not going to interfere with any other medication that you're taking now. It's going to give you the health back that you need as you're getting stronger. Am I going to tell you it's going to happen in 90 days, especially with disease? No. But if you stay consistent with it and you give your body this kind of support, it will heal and you'll start to notice improvements throughout your health. And that's important. We've got to stop being focused on quick fixes and understand that it took you years. You didn't get kidney disease overnight. You didn't get it in 2 years. It happened over a long period of time. Now, it's not going to take you years to reverse it once you understand what happened, but you've got to give it time, whether it's kidney disease or hypertension or liver disease, um, or Alzheimer's or dementia or bleeding teeth and gums or joint problems or edema and swelling or sleep apnea. It can all start to get better, but you've got to give your body time to heal and repair. And you've got to give it the resources to do that with. And that's exactly what the system does. Now, some of the pieces are this that I miss a lot. When you start it, and you do this for 90 days, number one, you get that 90-day money-back guarantee. How many of the medications that you've been given for kidneys, for heart, for any of that, have ever given you a 90-day money-back guarantee? That it was going to start addressing it and your kidneys were going to function better in 90 days or you got your money back? They don't. I worked in medical offices. I went to drug rep lunches. I sat through drug rep seminars. I had 2 family members who worked for Big Pharma. They don't. Okay. This does. We care about the people we're taking care of. Hey, Devout Lutheran, I love you. Thank you so much for your engagement and all the loves and likes. That really helps the message get out to people. And I appreciate that because I want people to get healthy. So there's that. But here's the thing. When you start feeling better and you want to share it out with people like I do, you get a link right when you sign up. When you sign up using my link, you get the same price as me. You're no longer paying the retail price. You're paying this very same price I do. And the same price as the guy who showed me how to do this is. And then you share that link with your friends and they get that same price that you're getting, but you get a $10 credit next month on your next purchase. And you get that every single time they purchase a system and every single person that does it. You have 5 friends who need it. You've just taken $50 off the cost. By the way, it's about $5 a day to build health, to stave off some of the things that we just talked about, to start actually getting your life back in the way you want it to be. So $5 a day, money back guarantees. You get, by the way, you get to message me for coaching and help. And you have quality assurance. With a lot of the other products out there, you're not getting this assurance that it's this clean and this good for your body. Then if you decide you want to do what I do, you don't have to be on social media and you want to make an extra income with it, you contact me about that. You don't have to do much different and we get you set up to be able to help other people in a more direct way. But either way, you can get a $10 credit or you can earn up to a $25 commission every time somebody purchases because you helped them out. So I'm looking to add people to my team. I didn't for a while. I wasn't team building for a while because I was focused on my own family. But I'm realizing I cannot do all this work alone. I appreciate every one of you that listens to me and goes back to my YouTube channel and hears all the stuff. But I can't reach everyone. Devout Lutheran, there's people in your life that I will never ever see or be around, and they need the help too. Dr. Naka, the same for you. Like, I need people who can help get this out because I heard an interesting statistic today. Now, I love statistics, it's my geeky mind, but we already know 93% of us, a 2022 study by Tufts University said that 93% of us have some form of metabolic dysfunction, cardiometabolic disorder. Other doctors are now saying 99% of us have an insulin disorder somehow. That's almost the entire world. And when we know that it's the leading driver to kidney disease, it's the leading driver to hypertension, it is the driver to Alzheimer's, it is the leading driver to liver dysfunction. And by the way, not only are we now, a couple of years ago, I talked about how 6-year-olds were having non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. They're now having 3-year-olds with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and it all links back to this one thing, insulin resistance. 3 years old. These babies are having non-alcoholic fatty liver disease because our food system is so broken that it's killing off our babies now, and we can't have that happen. We need to educate people. We need people to understand what's happened so that we can start to get better. But when I was talking about liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver, it's not just our babies, and it's not just the US. 1/4 of everyone in the world has a liver disorder, and most of that linked to an insulin problem. 25% of the world has some type of liver dysfunction. That's a huge number. So when you guys listen to me about all these things that I talk about that are linked into insulin resistance, this is exactly why I do. And these are the reasons. And you don't have to be a nut like me who's geeky and autistic. You just have to know that it works and that you're helping people get better. And I would love to work with you if you want to help other people too. Now, if you have more questions or you want to know about something, look, asking me to go do the research to bring it in a more simplified term is like giving me a present, okay? I love doing this work. I love it. It's like I absolutely love learning and teaching, and so if you have questions about a disorder that you're suffering with and could it be linked to insulin resistance, I will go find whether there's a link or not. One interesting thing is that every time I've gone out and said, "Oh, I'm gonna go research this, and I'm gonna bet that this is the one thing that isn't linked to insulin resistance," because I don't want people to think that I think everything is linked to insulin resistance, and in the back of my head, I'm kinda like, "Please let it be one thing that's not linked," and I haven't found that one thing yet. Everything I've researched is whether it's being caused by insulin resistance or being worsened by insulin resistance, every single disorder that people have asked me about has been linked somehow, and that's powerful. Hey, Red, it's good to see you here. I missed you earlier today. Okay, you guys, Wednesday was my birthday. My daughter-in-law, I'm gonna chat for just a second. My daughter-in-law is amazing. I don't know if you don't have a great relationship with your kids and their spouses, I pity you. But my daughter-in-law is we don't always get along. We kind of, we have our moments, but she knows I love chicken. She knows I love chicken cordon bleu. She went and did the research to find out how to make traditional chicken cordon bleu, made the sauce from scratch, did all of that. I walked into their house Wednesday night, and that's what she had plated up for me. Amazing young woman who's a fantastic cook, but they wanted me to take me for dinner, and the present they ordered for me wasn't here on time, so I'm gonna head out and go to dinner with my family and my grandson, and then we're just gonna enjoy the night. But here's the thing, I think we're gonna go to Mexican food tonight. I didn't talk about this, and I got a little time, so I wanna do this. Um, I'm just gonna take the system with me. Okay, I'm just gonna take it with me, and I can have whatever I want. Rice, beans, all of the stuff. Okay. But this is the tea. It's packaged like this, you guys. You don't have to steep it. You can have it hot or cold. It's just this little packet. You dump in some water, or like me, I just mix it in my water and then drink it throughout the day. And then the pre-meal drink is in a similar packet. You just mix it in some cold water. So this I'll just put in my purse when I get to the restaurant. I'll just ask for a glass of water with no ice, mix it up, drink it right when the food comes, and I'm protected from a carbohydrate spike by up to 40%. So if we go to Mexican tonight, that's a lot of carbohydrates in that. This will protect me from that carbohydrate spike, helping keep my insulin levels under control. And that's how I've maintained my health, reversed my diabetes, reversed my hypertension, reversed my sleep apnea, and everything else that I was suffering from. And I want to see you guys do that too. So if you have more questions about it, just use the link, reach out to me, or just go order, and then we'll get you going on this. And in the meantime, we will see you guys Monday. I may come on this weekend. If I have time, I will. But my weekends are generally my family time. So Thanks for listening to me. If you all don't give me something you want to talk about, look for, I'm doing a series of videos, the short videos on fat cells and why they're building and why you can't lose weight and all of that stuff. So look for that series that's going to start being posted here. And then when you have questions about other things, let me know and I'll do my best to answer where I can. All right, you guys, we'll see you Monday, if not this weekend, and go take a look and see if this could help you. We'll see you later. Have a good day, everyone.